Welcome back to RotoCityTech. I am Hank and I am out here camping out in New Mexico. This is our last day, unfortunately, but I wanted to do a quick little video about our setup and how it's been working for us. And I wanted to also shout out to our sponsors. Here's one of them right here. They sent me this hat, Rec Pro. Big thanks to them as they just continue to support the channel. And then Lithium Battery Power, our official channel sponsor, with the battery that they set us up, and then their other battery, which kind of saved the day for us. But anyways, I was kind of planning on maybe doing some videos throughout the trip, but the more I got relaxed and the more I had to chase around Holden all the time, I just chose to not do any videos during the trip. But that's okay, because we don't really do that kind of vlogging here, and we really just wanted to take this time to spend with family. But I did want to run through the setup, because I'm not sure I've done a full video on that yet. So I'm going to start here at the front, and I'm going to try to remember to shout out all of the partners that we have had for this build, as well as any sponsors. So starting out, we have our 200 watts of solar. Now these are Harbor Freight panels. These are not sponsored. These were purchased by my brother in return for using our camper. And we have 200 watts sitting right here. So all those wires feed into our little junction box right here. And then that feeds into this pigtail, which it looks like it's wired backwards, but it's not. That switch or that one plug is backwards for some reason. And so I figured that out. But then that feeds up and under into our camper. These are all those new wires that I installed. Now here is our hitch port system, which I have not done the video on that yet, but this is where we store our weight distribution hitch. So that is pretty cool. Now sitting right here is our 200 amp hour lithium battery from Lithium Battery Power out of Florida. We got our sticker here. They sent this battery out for us, and I recorded a video that'll probably be live before this of installing this battery. Here's our little supports on the frame, and then those cables obviously feed into the camper as well. Right here we have our Anderson connector, which I filmed the install of that on the truck, and then we lost that camera and lost the footage. Now that is fed right here by this Anderson connector here, and it goes all the way to the front of the truck through a fuse to supply power while we're driving down the road. The 14.6 volts that you need to charge up our lithium. And then one cool thing that we found inside our camper is, here is my old solar controller. Now I had this just unplugged, not using it, but I found these two wires are running from my solar panel on the roof, which is another 50 watts. So what my dad and I did was take some wire that he had, and I wired that directly into my solar controller, which I'll show you here in a minute. From the solar panel to my new solar controller, which gave me an extra 50 watts, so 250 watts right now. And it has made a huge difference. I mean, we've been charging upwards of 10-11 amps, and it's been really awesome. So we are going to continue that build as far as the solar, because I'm working on some solar panels that we can permanently attach to the roof. Now moving on in to our camper, where all of the goodies are installed. So there is all of the cool stuff. Now you've seen this in another video already, where all of our main wires are coming in. You can see that gray wire here on the floor, where I spliced that into my solar controller right there to give us that extra little bit as we were kind of testing. But here is my inverter, my DC to DC battery charger, the solar controller over there, my shunt, some circuit breakers, fuses, and bus bars. All that has worked really well, except for my inverter, and I can't figure out what's going on. Something is happening that is making it overload. So if I look right here, which is my inverter, switch, and if I press that, it'll turn on, and it gives me that green light that you can see right here. So right now it's working. So we were actually able to run our microwave to heat up some milk, and I was able to use my coffee pot to make coffee in the morning without running the generator, all on our inverter power. So our microwave is a 900 watt, which is why the 1000 watt would work. But I think there must be some loose wiring somewhere in the camper, so I've got to investigate that. It is definitely not an issue of the inverter from Rec Pro made by PowerMax, which I have another inverter that I might try to use and see if maybe I harmed the inverter, because I got to tell y'all, one day we ran into a bunch of issues because the wiring that I did in that video behind the charger converter, when I wire nutted all that, some of them shook loose and it caused some things to short out. So I might have harmed that inverter. Not quite sure. But overall, this has worked really cool. So I have my Victron right here, and we can see that it's a little hard to see on camera, 13.2 volts. Now I haven't ran the generator since yesterday afternoon, and that was only because Holden needed to take a nap, and it was pretty warm. So right here we got 13.2, yep, 1 amp, charging. It's a little shady out there at the moment, but this setup has been really cool. And so, like I said, we are able also to run our water filter, which we haven't done a video on yet, a little coffee maker, like I said, our microwave, and we ran all of this. And of course our fridge is 12 volt fridge. It is only 12 volt powered, or shore powered. And then of course we have our little fans and stuff that we run quite a bit, but I'm going to step outside of the camper and just talk about some of the issues. I'm also just going to pan some of the scenery as I talk, because it is quite honestly really beautiful out here where we come to camp. And so overall, I am super pumped on how our camper did. I think if we wouldn't have had that issue with my wiring that I did, now I ordered some connectors so I can permanently make that a permanent fixture instead of those wire nuts that can shake loose. Without that issue, I think we would have been perfectly fine, and without having to run the AC just for a few hours in the afternoon when Holden needed to take his nap because it would get pretty warm, I really think we could have gone 2 or 3 days without even trying to top off our battery, and we'd be able to use power and then use our solar setup to resupply our battery. So that gets me really excited to continue working with the companies that I'm working with, because I'm working on a deal for some solar panels. So I think, and especially once I saw that 50 watts on the roof, how well it did fixed on the roof and not having to move them around like these ones I have to move around a lot, I think it's going to be awesome. I plan on doing like 400 watts on the roof, and then maybe do 200 watts on the ground that I can move around, but just 3 panels, not all of these panels and all that work. But I really think we're going to be able to go days without having to worry about running our generator, as long as we don't need air conditioning. So the other little thing we ran into is my father-in-law is camping here with us, and he had our Lifeline battery, and something happened. I really don't know why it got discharged so bad. He had been running the generator a little bit, but it got discharged real bad. It was down to like 20%. So luckily I had brought the other lithium battery power 12 volt 100 amp hour battery, and I knew it was fully charged, and so I grabbed it, we hooked it up to his camper, and he hasn't had a problem since. He's probably been doing that for 3 days, 4 days maybe, with the lithium battery. And then we hooked up his little solar suitcase to the Lifeline battery and charged it back up to 100%. We're going to switch that back into his camper so that we can try again. Maybe that battery just wasn't charged fully. I really don't know what happened, but something wasn't charging right, and it could have been a setting maybe on his camper. I don't know. So we got to investigate that, but I was super pumped to have that other battery from lithium battery power. So thank you so much. And anyways, that's basically it. It was a good rundown test of all of our new equipment. And I just want to thank again Lifeline Battery Power, Rec Pro for sending that stuff out, Anderson for sending out those connections, Battery Cables USA for sending out all of those cables, Go Power for sending us the solar controller, and hopefully I'm not missing anybody else with just that stuff specifically. You can see our strong back chairs here, and they have been super helpful for us, and I think we've sold a few more to some family members, and that they're going to purchase using our RotoCity10 link to get 10% off. So be sure to check the description for any links, any discount codes on any of this equipment here, because we have quite a few of them. So anyways, I got plans for more solar. We got plans to do other stuff. This is perfect shakedown. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we're going to be right back at it as soon as we get home. Thank y'all.